if the equation is not in a ready-to-graph form, we then need to complete the square. Now here we have a couple of extra directions. If the equation represents a degenerate case, okay, we'll come across that if we need to. Here we go. Time to complete the square. We're going to group the x's and the y's separately. So x squared plus 12x, leave a blank, plus y squared minus 14y, leave a blank, is equal to negative 84. Group the x's and the y's on the left and bring the constant term to the right. Now we'll begin the cut in half square process. The 12 cuts in half to a 6, which squares to a 36. The negative 14, cuts in half to a negative 7, which squares to a 49. Now, by writing those numbers in red in the blank on the left, I have changed the value of the left-hand side. So I need to add 36 and 49 to the right-hand side to keep the balance of that equation. Now we can continue completing the square. Put the x in front of the plus 6, parentheses, quantity squared, plus y minus 7, quantity squared, equals 1. Okay, we do have a value there. The center is going to be at negative 6, comma 7, and the radius is going to equal 1. Had the r squared not been 1, had it been a 0, there'd be no radius, and that would be the degenerate case, and the graph would just be the point at the center, and there'd be no radius by which to draw a circle. So that would be the degenerate case. Here we go with another problem with the same directions, but this time we have some leading coefficients in front of our x squared and y squared. So let's begin by grouping the x's and y's on the left. We will have 4x squared minus 12x, leave a blank, plus 4y squared, no more y's, so we're just going to skip over to the right-hand side, equals negative 9. I want to factor that leading coefficient of 4 out from these first two terms. That will give me x squared minus 3x, blank, close parentheses. Then write the rest of the equation on the next line here. Now we want to do our cut in half square routine. So negative 3 cuts in half to negative 3 halves, and that squares to 9/4. Okay, now that's not really a 9/4 because there's a 4 out front that distributes to it. That's really a 9 that we've added into the blank because the 4's cancel. Since we've added 9 to the left, we need to add 9 to the right. And we now have 4 times x minus 3 halves squared plus 4y squared equals 0. Now we've got a problem with that equals 0 because there is no radius, and this is the degenerate case that we talked about up here in the directions. And so the graph, I'm just going to say, the graph is that of a single point, and that single point is the center. I'll write that as the center, and if we were to write this as a solution set, that would be the point 3 halves, comma 0 as the point that works in or satisfies the equation. If you substitute the 3 halves and 0 in, you will notice that the equation becomes 0 equals 0. Now, scary as a word problem may seem, this is actually quite easy. They're telling you a ship is located at negative 32, 40, and they know that there's a range of 20 miles on a radar. So basically you have the center and the radius. Your center is at negative 32, 40, and your radius is equal to 20. Now let's rewrite this formula, because the more often you write this formula, the better you're going to have it memorized. And then substitute in the values. The equation becomes x plus 32 quantity squared plus y minus 40 quantity squared equals 20 squared, which is 400.